What up, y'all? Welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about your 9 to 5, your precious, juicy little 9 to 5 job you guys work. I know there's this stigma to get out of it, and I think you guys should be doing the opposite. I've had the pleasure and really, I've been blessed to have such a good job that I go to every day, Monday through Friday. It's one that I get a lot of really good, or one that I've been able to grow a lot of my skill set over the years. I've been with them for a couple of years now, and I've really thought about kind of some of the ancillary pieces of value that I've gotten from working at a 9 to 5. And right now, I see it really as more of a tool more than anything. And that's what I titled the video, because I think using it in a way that benefits you and obviously your company. But really, I want to talk about some of the things that I think a lot of people aren't taking advantage of that would actually help you in a couple of different ways. So I've kind of broken this down, which has kind of been, if you guys have watched my other videos, the way I like to break things down is kind of talking about them in different categories. And I think the first, obviously, thing that we have to talk about is just the financial aspect of obviously a 9 to 5, right? Obviously, it's what keeps the lights on, depending on what kind of profession you're in. If it's a sales type commission like the one that I'm in, you have a lot of different factors that go into that, whether it be commission. And at that point, it's just a matter of how much you want to work to, be able to make as much as you want off of those products that you sell. So I think regardless, obviously you always want to get into a job. And, before I kind of get into it, obviously this is a job that you guys aren't getting beaten upside the head by your boss about. And that's a whole different, video, really. This is more of a job it's about, you're in a stable position. Maybe there's upward mobility, but it's something where you're not stressed every weekend about going into work. And it's something that you're typically good at too, or something that you're not, falling behind on. I think regardless, if it's a good job, one that, again, isn't killing you, you're not doing more than, 40 hours a week, I think it's really important to obviously, invest the money that you make and have it just be something that you continue to pay your bills. And the way that I've seen it is, for some people, it's kind of become a way to stop the bleeding. So if somebody's been unemployed for a while, they get a 9 to 5, and especially with the job market that they're in, if it's not like a job that they really see themselves in long term, at least it's cash in the door that's paying for their rent, their groceries, their utilities, basically their overhead to just live, which, it's kind of a sad reality. But I think that's kind of the first part, right? The financial part of it. Again, I'm blessed, and I know a lot of you guys are blessed to be in a position where, again, in my case, like, I have a really good boss. He's basically kind of doubled as a mentor for me. I've learned a ton. And I think the thing that you guys want to look for in a 9 to 5 is a job that is basically an apprenticeship, right? I mean, I started super low on the totem pole of, being a lower level salesperson, and then kind of worked my way up. And a lot of that's been not only, the products that we have and the services and the good customer base that we have at my personal company, but I think a lot of that has to do with who's actually steering the ship, right? I mean, if you guys don't have a good boss that makes you want to better yourself, then you're really not going to get anywhere. So it's really more of you as kind of a brand and your value in the grand scheme of things in the marketplace. So if something happens where you're no longer at that job, you can still apply those skills to another position. So one thing I always tell people at, like, my current job is I feel like I'm basically getting paid to get an MBA, just because I work at a small company, so I have access, and I'm involved with like our CPA, with our board, a lot of the financials that somebody in my position at like a medium to larger company wouldn't really have access to or would need to know at that point. So I think that's important. I think getting, as obviously the financial aspect of it, which is the first thing we're talking about, is important, and that's why you want a job, right? I mean, if anything, that should ease your mind that you have money coming in the door, and then if it's not a good position that you're in, then it gives you at least the time and the space to look for other positions or to start, whatever side hustle you want to, as opposed to not having a job and then just basically living in constant panic while you're spending all your time applying to jobs. So that's the first thing, right? The first thing is just being able to pay for your bills and hopefully being able to put money and pay yourself in the future with investments. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing that people don't really want to get involved in, and I totally understand, and that's just networking. I know a couple buddies that unfortunately they really don't like their 9-to-5s, and so they don't feel an effort to go to like networking events or company sponsored events or industry partners that put on these sorts of events that are free for them to attend. And I think these are great. Not only are you building up your social capital, but these events that you can be going to, I would see them more as something fun, right? I mean, get a couple free drinks, maybe some free hors d'oeuvres, and have that be kind of a fun time to go out. And that totally beats going to like a random bar and hitting on a girl, right? This is actually something that's moving your career forward. And like I said, you're able to speak to other like-minded individuals, hopefully. And not only is it great for potentially getting connections to sell, or I keep saying sell because I'm in sales, but potentially what it might be, right? An engineering conference, a medical, if you're in healthcare, these are going to be good relationships that you can potentially bring into the fold if you're wanting to have them join your company, or if there's somebody that you could potentially partner with to help you make money at your current company and help your company as a whole, then that would be great. But also, these are good connections to have, again, in the event that there's hiring opportunities where you guys are able to get headhunted. There's so many recruiters now and so many staffing agencies and companies that especially are using AI, but they go to these events. So, again, I personally have a great job, and I don't see myself ever leaving, at least currently. But again, we're not fools. If somebody gave you a grandfather offer, that's reasonable with good protections, you'd be a fool not to at least consider it. But I think, again, those networking opportunities are big. And so, as an example, I've always hated social media. I've always hated it. I was really never active on Facebook growing up, and I never got into Instagram, thank God. I never downloaded, TikTok or any of those apps. The only thing that I got into was LinkedIn, and I did that even though I didn't want to, but I did that just because, to me, it feels like it's like a living resume online. And that's basically what it is. It's a living resume online, and again, a lot of those connections that I've met at like conventions and different networking events, I've connected with them. They've ended up being in my own industry, and I can, on some of those actually live in my area too. So we've been able to get beers, which is awesome. And it's just cool to, be able to kind of leverage your W-2 job to be able to give you just a lot more, aside from just a paycheck, right? And something to do during the day. So again, the networking events I think are pretty critical, and they're going to be, I think, great for your development as well. And that kind of just goes into my third and final category, which I already kind of hit on when I was talking about the financial part, and that's skill building. I think you really cannot put a price on what a good 9-to-5 job does for your personal and work and professional development. I started right out of college into sales. I didn't know much. I can, now spin up spreadsheets and do CapEx and operational expense tables, just within seconds. There's certain formulas that I know how to do. That alone is just kind of on the software side, but just in terms of, just my own expertise, which, if I can even call it that. Like, if I look at myself from where I was just even 2 years ago, I've grown tremendously. And again, I think a lot of that's just from the experience that I've gained from being at my company. I mean, I've traveled a lot since then. I've learned how to work on my current product that requires a lot of handyman, or just a lot of, skill with tools, which I've never had before. I'm blessed. I never had to fix up like my house or anything like that when I was a kid growing up, or help my parents. I mean, they always took care of stuff and made sure that we were good. But I'm just saying, like, I would have had to take like a class at a community college to learn about that. I'm just saying that that's cool to also be able to gain knowledge from at my job. So I'm getting paid to learn. And that's really, I think, the big key takeaway, aside from the financial part of it, is you're putting money in your pocket, but you're also building really sound skills that can carry over to other positions or other companies in the future. Or even if you were getting promoted and got into a higher position that would require, maybe managerial experience, having worked at good 9-to-5s pretty much my whole life, those are always the three things that I look at, right? Are the financials good? Am I able to just pay my bills and put money away? That's the first thing, obviously. And then after that, it's like, okay, what other opportunities are here, right? Can I, are they, do they have, benefits for like fitness? I mean, I love going to the gym. So do they have like a credit that they give employees? Do they have sponsored events with potentially other people in the industry that maybe aren't direct competitors that I can attend for free? And then, like I said, are there actionable things that I can do, or are leaders doing at the company that will help me grow, not only my personal life, but also in just professional development, right? So I think those things are super important. And that's why I've always said, this whole idea of, everyone wanting to become an entrepreneur and, start their own thing. I mean, that's great. And that provides a lot of freedom, but I don't think throwing away a stable 9-to-5 just for the sake of it, just because of these delusions of grandeur, are worth doing. If you start your own company, who knows if you'll have the opportunity to stay afloat and have these opportunities come to you of, again, having networking events or being able to build skills. I think for many of you that have a stable, good 9-to-5, I think that more than anything is a tool. At worst case, use it as a way to leverage to not have to worry about paying bills, and then you're just basically using your free time to look for other positions. And like I said, that's kind of the safety net, right? And then, or working on a side hustle. So I know this video was all over the place. It's one that I wanted to make for a while though, just because I think it's really important. And again, I think I've just been very blessed with having a good 9-to-5, and I know a lot of friends and family that also have really good 9-to-5s, and I was actually kind of brainstorming with them and just talking with them in passing before making this video. And the big thing for them is definitely the skill building part of it, because like I said, if you're just at a job and you're just spinning your wheels and you're doing something that's mindless, that you're not improving yourself on, then again, it's going to be tough to really see value in really wanting to stay there, even if the money's good. So anyways, hope this video was helpful for you guys. I will probably expand on a lot of the business topics that I had I think mentioned in a previous video. So I'll keep these coming. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.